But this is what I know. The EFF has no future as a party. It's a declining party, and it's going to move in reverse. Going to be part of our politics for a very long time until, and I've said this before, until Julius remains in parliament with one or two representatives. Like,
Guys, so Prince Mashele is actually destroying the EFF. It's really strange. The EFF used to be a really popular, party all across Africa. Me from Nigeria, I got to know the EFF from its radical language at the time for black emancipation and black freedom until I decided to go in to study South Africa's politics and really see the EFF for what it is for itself. And it's really interesting to see how the different players in South Africa's politics see the EFF, but outside in the wider Africa and even in the diaspora and the islands like in the US and those islands around the US, they see the EFF as a major black nationalist liberation movement, so to speak. So it's really interesting that the likes of Prince Mashele actually argues that the EFF has no future. That's really strange. Let's quickly listen to how he breaks that down, also with the characterization of President Ramaphosa and the ENC's future in South Africa. And I'll be back for a really interesting analysis.
25. Before we get into a new year, you did touch on the EFF a bit and the MK. What do you think will be the outcome of the EFF's NPA? And let's also touch on what's happening this week with the Mkhonto weSizwe's first anniversary.
Well, both these things are very easy to predict. Are very easy. I know you can chop off my neck. I know Julius Malema is going to be the president of the EFF after this thing. That will not change. Number one. Number two, I know that anyone who's supported by Julius Malema for any position will win. There's no question about it. And on the second aspect, it's not me who's saying it. It's Julius himself. I watched his video. There was a gala dinner, must have been last year. He said this. He said in his life, he has never lost a contest for a position in a party. He said it. Number one. Number two, he said that anyone he has supported has never lost a contest for a position. So, there it is. Julius will be president. Whoever he supports for Secretary General, I don't know who that is, will be Secretary General. But this is what I know. The EFF has no future as a party. It's a declining party, and it's going to move in reverse. Going to be part of our politics for a very long time until, and I've said this before, until Julius remains in parliament with one or two representatives. Like, more or less like Holomisa. Think of Holomisa. He has been in parliament for years. But when he started, he had more members. Today, it's just two. It's him and Kwangu. So that's the direction in which the EFF is moving. Remember, they had hoped when they formed this project that as the ANC dies, they were going to inherit the assets of the ANC. And they were the second biggest at some point. They were the second biggest black political party. They are no longer. MK is now the second biggest black political party in South Africa. So forget the EFF. There's no future there. It's about Julius getting a salary from parliament and making occasional noises and you hosting him from time to time, maintaining his relevance. And nothing more than that. The Mkhonto weSizwe, as I said, look, let's acknowledge this. They have actually achieved a lot. In less than a year, they became the third largest party in South Africa through a democratic vote. That's huge. That's massive. My prediction is that if Zuma is still alive, the MK party is going to secure more than 30% of the vote in 2029. That's my prediction. Call me back if that doesn't happen. MK party will grow. It will collapse when Zuma is out. But for as long as he is alive and he can still stand behind a microphone and behind a camera and address rallies, the MK party will grow. So if you ask, who is inheriting the assets of the ANC? Currently, it is the MK taking. Those votes that are going to the MK used to be ANC votes. And that is what explains why the ANC has come down from 57% to 40%. Is the MK. So there is an immediate future for the MK. There is no medium-term or long-term future for the MK party.
Yeah, brilliant, guys. So this, I told you, this interview Prince Mashele had with DJ Spoo is shocking. It's shocking. I tell you, it's really shocking. Many things that were actually exposed, and it's really, I'm really trying to wrap my head around all that he spoke about. But the idea basically that I also found interesting is this whole issue about the lack of a strategic thinking for the ANC. That the ANC used to have strategists, but now today that the ANC has, doesn't have a strategic thinking. It says it's mentally dead. You see, and that also many ANC members want President Ramaphosa out. The DA wants him out, EFF wants him out, and he knows. But actually, because of the fact that if he's out today, the whole thing with the GNU would actually fall apart. So he's being managed, so to speak. These are Prince Mashele's thoughts, and those are really striking thoughts. This whole idea also of the fact that he argues that President Ramaphosa is one of the weakest of the ANC president, that even though Jacob Zuma was corrupt during his time, as Helen Zille actually says, that he had control on the state apparatuses and all that, but President Ramaphosa doesn't really have that whole control. And Rob Hersov corroborates this argument a lot, that President Ramaphosa seems to be like what he calls a Father Christmas. He actually uses words like useless. He actually uses words like lacking the boldness to really have a firm say in the way the country is being run, so to speak. And so at the end of the day, Prince Mashele sees all that culmination in the fact that he sees President Ramaphosa as the one who is burying the ANC. Even though Jacob Zuma was the one who killed the ANC, he says that President Ramaphosa is burying the ANC. And finally, he actually argues that Panyaza, who is becoming now a new player, so to speak, rising up from the throes of Gauteng. We know the really fierce battle Panyaza had with Helen Zille during the period of municipal coalitions at the level of the municipalities, but it didn't happen. And also the problem with Brinksilias, who was actually kicked out as the leader at the time in Gauteng, replaced now with Herman Mashaba's what's her name now? But anyway, Action SA and the coalition with ANC and all that. So he actually argues that Panyaza is also preparing himself for a possible go at the presidency, especially at the elective conference coming up, I think in 2027, thereabout. And we might see a stronger voice of Panyaza over Mashatile, so to speak, and that will be really interesting to watch, and how that whole thing plays during the elective conference. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have really kind words for President Ramaphosa, and also we know that Pala is actually following Ramaphosa. So how Ramaphosa escapes this whole issue, these whole problems around him, is something post-presidency will be really interesting to watch. But anyway, I don't know, what do you guys think about Prince Mashele and his thoughts here? Really deep, really intense, intelligent ones as well, but really saddening, so to speak, for a South African. If I were South African, naturally, these words really make me sad, really, really touching. But anyway, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments.